Hey guys, it's Chelsa Messenger with Picks and Parlays. We're talking NFL action, Broncos at Falcons. Just a reminder, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and hit the bell if you want notifications every time we post a new video. The Falcons favored -4. The Broncos are 3-4, but 5-2 against the spread. A really good team when it comes to covering the number. The total is 50 in this one. Meanwhile, the Falcons 2-6 straight up and 3-5 against the number. We've got Scott Rickenbach joining us to talk this one. Scott, who do you like, or what's the play?
Well, for me in this one, early thoughts are just that it's hard to make a choice on the side because how is Denver going to respond after that miracle win? What a win that was for them this past weekend. I mean, you can't run it any closer than that. Fourth down play, pass interference in the end zone gives them the ball at the 1 yard line, and then they get that game winning touchdown. Just an incredible win. But, you have to wonder about how a team after an emotional win like that will come out the next week. One thing I will say, though, is when you look at Denver, you see that they give up a lot of points, but their defense is much better than what those point totals show. They're only allowing 339 yards per game. And what I'm looking at here is that we might see a little bit more of a tighter, low scoring game than most people might be thinking. Atlanta has played much better since they fired their coach. They've won 2 out of 3, both straight up in ATS. They've allowed 23 points or less in four straight games. So we're seeing some decent defense now from Atlanta when before they couldn't stop anybody. They're still hard to trust because even against Detroit, that one loss in their last 3 games, of course, they blew it late and on a game-ending play. So again, hard to trust Atlanta. A little hard to trust Denver in this spot coming off of their game that they just had that huge win. So for me, it's hard to make a decision on the side at this point, at least early in the week. But I do like the total here to stay under. I think that Atlanta's defense, again, has been much better of late, and Denver has an underrated defense. Again, statistics, you got to be careful. And usually that stuff, from my experience, I've been doing this for 2 decades. One thing you will see is things tend to level out toward the end of the year as the season goes on. So when stats are a little bit crazy, like Denver's given up a bunch of points, but the yardage doesn't, make sense. It doesn't comply with that. It's different. It's based on their yardage. They shouldn't be giving up many points. That's going to find a way to sort itself out as the year goes on. It's a 16-game season. So something to keep an eye on, not only this week, but going forward.
Well, and also for Atlanta, it seems like they move the ball extremely well down the field until it comes to the red zone. I don't know if they just operate their offense better when it comes to the open field, and when it's condensed, it's a little bit harder for them, or if they just choke. But Matt Ryan continues to put up monster yards, but for some reason it doesn't equal in points every week. So it's really hard to trust this Atlanta offense. Definitely would love to hear your thoughts on that when it comes to the Falcons offense.
Yeah, and some teams, and it's so critical, they can pile up the yardage, but then their red zone offense just stinks. And there's something with Atlanta this year, and they still haven't been able to sort it out even after the coaching change. Like you said, they'll move it well between the 20s, and then they just can't get it done. And I think this Denver defense, again, is a little bit underrated. I think it's going to give Atlanta some trouble here. And I think Atlanta has scored more than 26 points just twice this entire season. Denver only gave up 12 points in their most recent road game. So it's going to be a little bit of a tighter defensive-minded game than many are expecting. And also the Broncos, before this last week, I think they had only scored more than 21 points maybe once this entire season until, again, this really a miracle win this past weekend. It was a crazy game against the Chargers for sure. So
Yeah, and just one final tidbit on Atlanta. When you do have drives that result in a lot of yards, you eat up the clock. And I just looked, the Falcons are actually top 10 when it comes to time of possession, which usually is reserved for teams that run the football really efficiently. But it seems like Atlanta holds on to the ball. They have these long drives that don't result in scores every time. So that could contribute to the under as well.
yeah, and a lot of those big passing yards for Matt Ryan, he's getting them with the shorter passes. I mean, that's a big part of today's NFL, right? That's why we see these
Yeah.
guys with 70% completion rates and stuff like that that we didn't used to see, just 10 years ago. It was a different game even. But now with a short passing game, and you do eat up clock that way, and definitely good point there because that time of possession can lend itself well to an under. And Atlanta could go into ball control mode here. And the same thing with Denver on the road, just trying to hang in the game, just stay close and then win it late. So could be some good ball control from Denver in this game as well.
Well, that's going to do it for our NFL talk here on Picks and Parlays. As always, great stuff from Scott Rickenbach. Scott, thanks for joining us.